What do you look for in a student?
What I look for in a student is the interest that the student has, and that the student is serious about training, and that the student should already come with respect for the art and for the teacher that he's going to train under. That's what I look for in a student. And if he's very serious and not lying to himself, that particular student, male or female, is going to stay and train and achieve their goals in training. But a lot of students come with the impression that the instructor is going to be like the instructors in the Chinese Kung Fu movie. Well, first of all, we're real. We have nothing to do with that, and that's Hollywood. And a teacher is you're going to have a realistic teacher with faults. So if you quit, well, that's your decision and your opinion, based on your opinions and decisions. So you'll never find what you're looking for. So stick with what you got. You got a good teacher, stick with him. All right? Poon Sau has nothing to do with fighting. It has to do about developing your sensitivity. So people want to see people do Poon Sau going into fighting. Of course, that's not the drill, it's not the fight. It's to develop your reflexes. Yep. Too many times we have people that criticize some videos on Wing Chun, and they expect the techniques to be choreographed because of, like, in Japanese kata, those movements are all precise, systematic movements. But in freestyle Poon Sau, anything goes, because you're now free from bondage. And so a lot of videos that I have seen over the past years are movements that are choreographed by their instructors, and people think that's what they're doing. They're fighting, but they're not fighting. And so you have to get away from the trap of being bound to Poon Sau. Poon Sau is a step toward freedom, so of freedom of expression of your techniques. So you have to remember that. So, you know, the kata in Japanese karate is not about you're fighting 10 or 20 people. Kata contains joint locks and throws and sweeps. So a lot of Wing Chun people erroneously judge a Japanese karate fighter that their kata is organized as pairs, which is not true. Same thing with Wing Chun. You cannot just be stuck in the trap of Poon Sau. You have to break away from that and be free. So some people will say, well, he's chasing his hands or whatever. But the point is, in a real fight, your techniques are going to come out. And all of those sayings don't matter. They don't mean nothing. The one who's left standing is what counts, not all this other garbage of my sifu can beat your sifu, and there's all this garbage. But you have to do it for yourself and nobody else. And that's what I try to teach my students that I teach here in Texas and in Mexico, in Monterrey. So, you know, I've had a lot of years of experience, but I try to simplify everything to make it simple but effective. Well, in the Mano de Guerra system, because it includes massive doses of knife fighting tactics, I have to be very careful with that individual that, first of all, if they display any type of anger whatsoever, any little subtle facial expressions of anger toward me, or sometimes I'll trick my student and say something or text them to see what kind of response I get from them, and if I have one that's confrontational, I eliminate that student. He or she may stay in my class, but in my mind they're never going to achieve that level of mano de guerra, eskrima, because I'll never teach them, because I already can tell the character of that person, whether they are educated or not. It doesn't matter to me, because an educated person is can be just as brutal as a non-educated person. It doesn't matter how much higher degrees of learning they have, they still have these emotions. And to me, once they display that, however subtle it may be, I've already cut them off as teaching them further knowledge of the knife, because I don't want some nutcase running around with a knife, and that can be an educated person, still be a nutcase and lose it. And confrontational, somebody that just likes to talk back, I cut them off. But that's what I'm not looking for in a student. I want a student that's going to be is going to respect himself or herself, and by that I mean they know their etiquette in a class and how they treat a waiter or a waitress. But I'll watch them how they treat people in a coffee shop or a restaurant. I'll watch how they interact with the waitresses and other people. And those are the things that you don't see me do in a classroom environment, because I'm watching them. And that's one of the things that I will not teach, is the mano de guerra knife fighting technique to those kind of people. And of course, they have to have a good, they have to be good human beings. So if I tell them something, they come back with a stupid response or an insulting response, I'm not going to teach them at all. I don't want those kind of people at all. They can go eat some donuts, you know. Thank you.